Hello, family. We are getting there, getting there. We are getting there. Okay, we are recording. All right. So I'm really excited about what we're going to be talking about today. I have been diving, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Can you guys hear me? It's recording.
It is recording, Jess, but it started recording as soon as I hopped on, so I don't know if it recorded because I was on or because
That's okay. Yeah, I'll probably edit out the first 2 minutes now that I know how to do that.
All right.
Learning, not my highest joy, but yes, we're learning. Okay, so today is going to be fun class again. And, through a lot of self-discovery, I love doing different types of workshops throughout the year because it puts me into kind of like the depth of collective consciousness, like where we are. And, because this is like I'm on my journey, right? And I'm like heading this way. And then when you can use like classes and workshops and your work, especially if you channel it, like if it's not all like pre put out there. And I don't really, although my boot camp is not live, I'm kind of like creating the content, detouring, going sideways based on what is like hatching, what is unfolding in our groups. And so that's kind of like that's just the only way I like to teach. It's very probably unorthodox. And I can't just go and like make up like creator content for the next 3 years and then publish it because I'm not obviously in this for the money. So it's really about my journey, sharing my journey, learning about your journey, and seeing how it is literally wherever you are on the planet, it's the same shiz. It's the same stuff. Yes, we have a different storyline, but collectively, like we are going through the same like levels of trying to manifest reality through some form of separation. Okay, that's like bottom line. If I talk to someone in Australia where it's already like the next day, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So today, what I wanted our class to be about, and this is like what I'm going to be teaching all year next year, and I don't really know how that's going to look other than the main focus of where we are heading as a collective is that the world is splitting in two definite shifts. Like obviously there's infinite parallel realities based on where your focal point is, and you create your own reality and you can create your own timelines. But as the collective shifts from love to from like basically from fear to love, and those ones that are choosing fear as their dominant motivation, they will find themselves on a different version of Earth than those of us who are saying, you know what, love wins. That was my very first tattoo. It's pretty ghetto now, but it was like that was my first one because it was like, at the end of the day, that is what is going to win within relationships, within money, within health. It's love is the only thing that is eternal, everlasting life force energy. Okay, we know that life force energy will heal any sort of health issue. Streaming a bunch of flowing life force energy through your consciousness will create abundance. So ultimately, we understand that there is really only two choices here. So as you see, like the 5D Earth moving into and building a new, this is the important part, building a new collective consciousness, because ultimately the collective consciousness is going to be kind of the thread, the algorithm, or the measurement of what you start to see. So it's like, I've never in my life seen the world getting worse and better at the same time. And again, it's depending on where you look and where you are focused will be the evidence and the the environment that you are living in. And at any moment, you can change. So all next year, although it's going to be very kingdom of heaven based, which means basically creating unity with your body. That's what it is. Because all of your power and potential in your magnetism and your purpose and your heart's desires and your gut intuition, it is not out there. It will never be in that phone call. It will never be when you ask a neighbor. It will never be when you're online studying. It will come from inside of here. And this is really the only place that you are going to make a true intuitive decision on which direction you go. is from in here. Because if you're looking out there, okay, you might be conflicted, you might be obligated, you might be committed, you might be afraid, you might be so many things. But if you can stop and be still and get into your body, even if everything hell is literally falling down everywhere around you, you are going to notice that you feel very peaceful. Like when you're in here, it's like, it's like walking inside to a really warm store in freezing rain. And you're just like, you just like melt into your own energy. And especially women who have been leading with their masculine shield, we have not been in our bodies, or we would have seen the hell and possession and the haunting that was going on in here a long time ago. And now that we're kind of like taking that power back, it's very uncomfortable, yes, but it's a shelter, it's a safe space. Inside of your body is nothing more than source energy streaming through your own divinity, your own connection. It has never not been there. But when you are not in the body, okay, when you are in your mind, when you are in your past and your future, you are not in the present, you are not in the body. That means you don't have access to your true guttural North Star. Like the reason that you are here is so much more important than what you are doing right now. And I think that because this part of the world is going to hell in a handbag and they're literally choosing it and celebrating it, and then we're like, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel life-giving. That doesn't feel flowing. That doesn't feel loving. All right. So then when we turn over here, and the collective consciousness yet in this fifth dimensional reality is not strong enough to basically support you yet. It is there. And if you tap in, you definitely can lean on the vibration that it is mounting. But see, it's going to take more of us being grounded in love, no matter what happens, to create a collective consciousness that feels as strong as this pull, this hypnotic pull that's coming from, the other collective that is basically just like that sheep mentality that's like, it's funny. I had this guy friend, and newly single after like 3 or 4 years. And he tells me that he's back on the dating sites. And he says, I don't know what happened, but I'm on these dating sites and men and women are literally like hitting on me. And I said, yeah. He goes, but I chose that I'm actually only interested in women. But like, there's some really beautiful men trying to talk to me, right? And I said, welcome to Earth. Like, this is where like the gender has shifted and morphed into a way where that every single person is in a point of self-preservation. They are going to be, act, and do to the best of how they can express their unique beingness. Now, I truly believe that we are completely androgynous at our core. Okay, I'm saying that I don't necessarily believe in like from the higher divinity in masculine and feminine. But when you are playing in a game of density and the whole thing is about magnetism, you have to understand this is nothing about bashing gender here. This is about straight magnetism. Okay. When you are like really in your core honoring all of the yin and yang of your chosen, I won't say given, because you do have that opportunity to choose your gender, which means that if you're in a man's body and you're like, I'm a woman, like to the core, then you better rock both sides of that feminine energy. Okay. Because if you're going to hang on to one part masculine and then look feminine, you are not going to be as magnetic to create your own reality as you could be if you owned it all. This is a collective consciousness that constantly has one foot in and one foot out. Constantly. I create my reality, but I love you, but you see, so you have to understand that in a collective environment where it's wishy-washy and it isn't fundamentally grounded and anchored in thy truth, you will suffer. Okay. So this class is going to be about being the main character, okay? And really leaning into it, owning it authentically, no matter what. Because only in your true main character, the one you were born to be, not the one you were made to be, not the one you forced to be, not the one you were allowed to be, the one you were born to be. When you recalibrate back to factory settings and you start owning all of it, okay? That means if you're a woman and you're like, no, I'm a man, you better own that masculine energy, okay? Like both parts, which is dark and light. So again, I've been really going deep into this in my boot camp because I saw that it was 99% of feminine energy that was not in the body of their dreams because they were leading with that masculine mask and that wounded feminine energy. Okay. The other 1% was leading with dark feminine energy. Okay. And light masculine energy. So it was still demagnetized. So this isn't about gender, like physical. This is about gender of the soul, of the heart, of the beingness. And I do believe with everything inside of me, because I have channeled these beings, that there are men and women in physical bodies that came here to fully claim the other gender and rock it. Okay. And if you are in the presence of these beings, you will feel it. They will have this strongest magnetism. They will have this confidence. They don't care whether you like what you're seeing or not. They have influence on you. Just go to any drag show, okay? You will be inspired. You will be like, that is a woman, okay? Because there are some that literally came here for the freaking challenge, like, you know, and then there's others of us that came here to completely rock, like own, claim, be exactly who we are. Okay. And we knew that if it came to this physical body, if someone could go and change their entire gender, you know, you can change your nose, you can change this, you can change that. So when you're talking about main character energy, you are not talking about the cards you were dealt. No, you are talking about factory settings that you like basically pre-gamed. So imagine like before your incarnation, you were like, okay, I got this, right? I'm God in a body. Like, give me a body. I don't care what it is. I will make it the main character of my story because whatever I focus on and choose, I will magnetize and attract. So then, of course, that main character, you're only allowed to be that for like a couple years in your family. Because again, as soon as the dark and the light aspect of you start to work together, you become more powerful than your parents. Okay. You become more powerful than anyone. And that is kind of working together until, well, depending on how abusive and narcissistic your parents were or how abandoned, rejected you were, usually until around age 4 or 5, this is where both sides not only are just crying, change my diaper, feed me, look how cute I am, but starting to create that sass, that attitude, that entitlement, right? And all of a sudden, you, not in a cute little diaper changing body, but walking around the house swinging your hips or not wanting to play with dolls or not wanting to play with cars, all of a sudden that becomes an issue. And if you are a sensitive, empathic being, my son is shooting a gun in the house. Whoa, stop it. Christmas vacation already. So if you are an empathic, sensitive being, okay, you're going to want to please others. And because, not just because you feel what you're feeling, you also feel what they're feeling. And you could think to yourself like, okay, when I do this, it's kind of off-putting to my mom. She doesn't seem to love me as much when I walk around the house shaking my hips, or she doesn't seem to give me my way if I'm crying, or if I'm, you know, not being dad's helper, then, you know, this. And again, we make these kind of belief systems out of constant bombardment of observation with no strong ability to know thyself yet, because we're just the ingredients, and our job is to kind of like figure out what we want to be, choose who we want to be, and develop into that. But again, in the childhoods that we were raised in, most of every person I've known on the planet, maybe 10%, I'm in class, dude, shut my door if you want to play something. We're kind of like, turn your volume down. Or, let's say you were messed with as a kid, as a little boy you were messed with, as a little girl you were messed with. So now, okay, that light energy that is illuminating. So you have to look at your light energy as illumination and information. That's what light is, okay? Like if you're leading with your light energy, you're going to get devoured on planet Earth because it is very shadowy and dark. And like, imagine what a porch light is, right? It's like the light is flickering and like all the bugs, because you are a light source and you're just walking out there with your illumination and all your information. All right. So what happens is when our light becomes messed with or our light becomes unsafe, then instead of kind of like recalibrating and working with ourselves to, shape shift, what we will usually do is drop one half of ourselves and mimic what we are seeing. So it's like, okay, if mom is a real strong feminine, and then I see her leading my dad around and getting her needs met and terrifying us, and that's a masculine shield, well, I know that that's going to protect my light. So I might adopt that. Or let's say I'm a little girl and everybody's constantly telling me how beautiful I am and it scares me, and this creepy guy touched me. I might decide that I don't like men at all. So again, those first 7 years, that actually creates the hard drive that you call subconscious programming or your belief system. It's not software at that time, it's hardware. It's in every cell, it's in every muscle, it's in every belief. It's in your identity, it's in your persona, it's in the way you walk, it's what you see, it's how you talk, it's what you eat, and it's what you are attracted to. This is why we don't really figure out until we have our awakening that we have been attracted, desiring, and choosing things that weren't coming from the authentic version of ourselves. You see, so, and then if you really study the scripture as metaphysics and metaphors of the biography that is you, then you will understand that sin is missing the mark. So if you kind of look back over your life and you think, gosh, I really gave 100% here, but I missed the mark, or I invested 120% into this relationship and yet I just couldn't be seen or heard for who I was. Okay, so missing the mark is basically what we are demonstrating when we are not operating from a holistic yin and yang beingness. When we are playing one part wounded gender and one part false gender. Now, because this in nature is so, it's a natural polarity, it is not, it's almost going to be like the opposite effect of when you have magnets together. It's going to repel. So when you go out into the world in a wounded gender and a false persona of a gender, operating as a whole being, seeking what you are lacking, motivated by needs and wants, okay, looking out in the world for what you feel you are lacking, you are always going to get the exact opposite polarity of you, which means that you're going to attract the wounded gender opposition. Okay, I'm in a woman's body and I'm leading with my false mask of masculine and my wounded feminine. And if I'm going to be in a relationship, I can't have my dark feminine there because she's way too powerful. So she goes away. Okay, how many of you guys have been in a relationship and all of a sudden you have no desire to do certain things that you love doing, or certain things that you love to do before or like to do, you just don't feel motivated in this relationship? Pay attention, because that's the part of you that when you're in a intimate relationship is not valued. So a lot of times you'll see a woman get out of a toxic relationship and she'll have what's like called a glow up, and she'll get real like beautiful and sassy. She'll clean house, She'll get rid of all her toxic friends. She'll cut her hair. She'll go pink in the hair, whatever. This is because she reclaimed her own her own divinity within her own gender. She became whole. That's what happened. And then you get in a relationship, it's like, which part is unacceptable? Which part is not received well? Because we learned how to do this in childhood. We do this at our job. We do this with our families. We do this with our relationships. This is why you guys love being alone, because it's in that natural state where that other part of you can really come back online, but you don't feel motivated to be whole around other people because you were taught very early that that is not okay or received well or safe or whatever. So if you guys notice that when you get into those single phases of your life or out of that job or away from that, you start to feel more whole, okay? Because again, in our collective society that is scarcity, every single thing that would truly work for you to become your own God of your reality is poo-pooed, or it's judged, or it's like frowned upon. And there's a reason why. Because one person connected to both identities of their gender, the dark and the light, the yin and yang, streaming from a disciplined, consistent consciousness of choice is more powerful than 750 sheep. 750,000 sheep. Okay? Because again, you are direct connecting and you are a whole being. See, we think once I get the money or the relationship or my body on point, I will feel whole. But it is that feeling of want that is telling you where you are half. Okay? So ladies, your dark feminine is your inner confidence. If you have a message to give the world, but you don't want to be seen online, go find your dark feminine. Because she's like, I got this. Okay? She's confident. And yes, the light part of you will be the part that sees the world, the illumination. She'll be in the shadows with your confidence. Okay? And she will also keep you very grounded in what needs to remain balanced, because your dark feminine is your alchemist. She's the one that can transmute sexual energy. She can transmute haters. She can transmute pain. So if you're leading with your absence of your dark feminine and you're leading with your masculine mask, you're going to try to fix everyone, friend everyone. You're going to try to provide everyone exactly what they want. And guess what happens to you in that point? You are going to get rejected anyways, because you are not magnetically drawing in who you are. You are going to draw in who you are not. And this is going to make you kind of want to get away from the world and being seen and heard and safe while you secretly desire it. So guys, the same thing happens to you because you are half dark and half light. And so if you are in childhood and you are not allowed to be basically embraced and taught how to be a man, okay, you didn't have a role model, then you are going to go towards what feels like right. You're going to kind of like lean on like what feels like you get the most power from, or the most respect from, or the most success from, because those are like the core desires of masculine energy. It's success, it's respect, okay? And it's basically about the level of energy that they can contain within them, because by nature they are two parts. They are man and they are God. Okay? Divine feminine energy is dark feminine and light feminine energy, which both parts contain the essence of God and together stream exactly the same amount of power that masculine would be if they were in their connection to source. But most men are not in their connection to source. They're sourcing reality for their connection. Okay? They're seducing reality for their own container, and they are pursuing through seduction rather than protecting and providing. Okay, so that the stability of what that masculine man can build. Like, we're no longer in the generation of men leaving legacies or unless they are part of the occult and secret families, which all like they do that as soon as someone's born, they get a trust fund. But like the regular guys out here that are separated from their nature and gender are not going to be concerned with the long game. They are in it for the short game. Okay. They are like, well, I got this much more time until I retire. And then that's it. They don't have like that future presence. And it's funny because women now do. We're wanting to leave a legacy. We're wanting to leave like generational wealth because we're leading with the masculine energy. The most difficult part about this is both genders that are separated in their nature, sin, okay, are demagnetized. So if you've ever had the thought over the last couple of years doing all this manifestation training, does God hate me? Like, what is wrong with me? Why is this not working? Like, it feels like you are being punished in certain areas because you are trying and you are trying and you are getting smarter and smarter and smarter with the content. But it's almost like when you put yourself out there, you are not met with what you feel in your heart you should be at this point. The only reason is you are demagnetized. Okay. So what we have to do, and it's kind of a call of action. And again, it has nothing to do with gender as far as like choice. It has to do with who you want to be as a main character and then being it fully, completely. No one foot in, no one foot out. Ladies, if you want to truly be in your feminine energy, stop complaining. You cannot never complain again because you have an alchemist inside of you. Take that problem and alchemize it in the shadow. Okay. By yourself, with me, myself, and I. You do not ever, ever speak any word that is a spell that you are casting in a negative form in reality because you're nature. So you're either going to get a storm, you're going to get rain, you're going to get something out there. When guys are seducing rather than pursuing, then they're only going to get the instant gratification of their needs met, and they will completely avoid knowing their purpose their whole lifetime. They won't know why they are really on this planet. And do you think that you came to this planet at this time with no big purpose? Do you really believe that you are the one that came with no purpose? And I don't mean like a purpose, like writing a book, but you have a reason for coming and you have a mission inside of you. How that looks, only you and God know. Okay. But if you are demagnetized, you won't know what the creator wants to stream through you. You won't know the power available to you. So what you will do is you will settle for something that kind of resonates with who you are, and you'll work in service, or you'll do this and you're kind of sort of in alignment, but then it just feels like work. Okay. If it feels like work, that's not what you came for. Work means if anything starts to feel like work, just say, oh, I'm demagnetized. Because what you are when connected is flow. You are fun. You are light. You are flowing. You're transformational. You're transcendent. You're constantly working in the yin and the yang and the yin and the yang for balance. Leading edge. You're going to just fly through that. No matter what is happening on the whole planet, it literally could be crumbling. And if you are in a balanced, neutral work within yourself, which means that when you are whole, that is kind of like the Rubik's Cube. Click, now you're streaming source energy, not battery operated, not from the paycheck you got, not from the, attention that your partner gave you, not from the award you got from work, but pure positive source, which means you're not going to be leading your reality from needs or wants. You're going to be living your reality from demonstration. You're going to be sharing your message, your heart, your joy, your fun, your lightness, your confidence. And the confidence isn't going to come from whether people like you or not, or if you're rich or famous. It's going to come because I know myself. And when I am whole, You will never feel loneliness again. You'll never feel disappointed again. You will never feel like untrusting again. So let's look at some of the symptoms of separation. You don't trust yourself and you don't trust others. You don't know what's your intuition and what's fear. You can't remain energized. You fall in and out. You need something outside of you to stay energized. You change your mind a lot, or you're unsure of what you're doing or who you're doing it with. Okay, you feel like you're putting a lot more effort out than you're getting. You're being attacked. You're magnetizing other people that feel very conflicted with themselves. You see what I mean? And these are just like, this is so obvious, you guys. This is like where we don't look. So we keep trying to like refit this mask or take the mask off, but then our feminine is exposed. And it's like the reason why we don't just all rush back and recalibrate into our gender is because one part of your gender has been extremely shamed or guilted, which is what we've been talking about. Because if I said, hey, if you get back to yourself, you'll be able to stream source consciousness 24 hours a day, which means abundance and freedom. Are you down with that? And you'd say, yeah. But if you have shame and guilt in one of your areas of your field here, then that part is going to think they don't deserve source or they are not worthy of that connection. And that's going to be your hang up. And of course, you're going to feel unworthy and devalued because you're separated in your nature. You're missing the mark. So of course, you're going to think that you're not valuable enough. What you're putting out isn't being received the way you want. Of course, you're going to feel devalued. Don't you think that was part of this collective game? Because main character energy is about being the avatar that you choose and rocking it 100%, no matter what. Like truly owning it. But first, with yourself. Because the affirmations, the self-hypnosis, all of this self-concept work that we've been doing is about getting back to the original you who came packed, toolboxed, aware, trusting, informed, motivated, allowed. And when you get back to that place, you'll start to see that there's a confidence that comes back in you that was not earned by society. There's going to be an awareness of your worth that literally could oppose what's in your bank account right now. Because like, again, what you seek is seeking you. And the way the game is set up in virtual reality is everything is mirrored consciousness. So when you are leading from separation, you're going to manifest separation. When you are leading from a split energy, the thing that you think you're manifesting to fix the split is actually going to be also split. Because you can only attract the mere reflection of your dominant consciousness. So you no matter how much you try in physical reality, you're never going to find your missing piece, ever. Nothing. The money won't fill you up. The relationship, it'll end up toxic on some levels. You'll always be opposing what you attracted in to fill your void will start to create more separation in yourself because you're going to be putting out fires out there of their stuff. Okay, so especially ladies, if you're leaning with masculine shield and wounded feminine, you're going to be responsible for everybody's separation out there. Okay, because you're going to see it through your empathic light. And then you're going to be like responsible for fixing it all because you want peace in your heart or you want to stay safe. So now, because you can feel it all, dark feminine is like, that's your stuff, right? She can alchemize her stuff and affirm for others. So what we got to do, guys, is we got to get back to main character energy. And this sounds really boring, but this is where the magic is, like magical, okay? Supernatural. That is who you are when you are whole. But you might not know that the part of women that trigger you out there is the part you're missing. Okay? The part that you're like, I don't like it when she wears that. She's out there rocking her dark feminine. You might not like that. That is your missing piece. Okay? It'll also be the part that your partner expresses, that they're allowed to express, whether they're male or female, that you're not allowed. So you can really find out where your missing pieces are, or your missing other half of yourself, in what your partner's allowed to do that you're not, or express. Okay. Are they allowed to be childlike? Are they allowed to be angry? Okay. Are they allowed to be sexy? Oops. Why am I unplugged here? Hold on. Okay. We got to plug in. Good metaphor. Okay. So what are they allowed to be that might trigger you from like, and I hold space for that, you know? So also what it is that you feel like you're lacking. Your other piece of you has the inspiration, the information, the knowledge, or the intuition to manifest that. The part you suppress to lean on your parents who were completely suppressed hasn't gotten you far. This is why when we wake up, we get very connected to the spiritual information because it makes us feel whole. Like when you are tapping into that spirit world or the psychic world, it's almost like, yes, that's what I'm missing. Yes, that's what I'm missing. Yes, it's like it feels whole. That's why we get so addicted to the information, but we don't actually like embody it because most people don't know. But if you look at collective consciousness and you saw the number one thing, the way the world was heading, it was into major gender confusion. Major. Okay. When you start getting into we, she, they, like how many of you are in there? Okay. Because God created you in his image to be able to fully focus in density as the yin and yang of spirit and nature. So masculine energy has a nature that is primal and dark. But when source energy is streaming through that nature, they become protective over that dark, providing for that dark. You see, providing for that security because they are so aware. Like my boyfriend used to tell me all the time, you don't know what men think. I know what men think, right? I know how they think. You see, so there's one part that's animalistic and primal, which is required on planet Earth, and the other part, streaming source energy, that is the drive, it is the ambition, it is the purpose, it is the awareness, it is the connection, it is love. So what separates divine masculine from the animal world is the connection to source. Okay, so divine feminine, when she is disconnected from her light or her dark, she is disconnected from source. So if I'm leading all the way with my darkness, okay, which is my confidence, it's my ability to seduce, it's my ability to transmute and spellcast, it's my fearlessness, it's my courageousness, it's my understanding of earth, it's the understanding of darkness, it's the understanding of that primal yin and yang energy here. If I'm leading with that, but I am lacking source consciousness flowing through me, well, then that's where you get like the idea of Lilith energy or the narcissistic woman. Because in my true dark feminine energy, I lack empathy for you. And in my masculine, if I was a man and I was lacking source energy, I would not have empathy for you. So the light is the empathy. The light is the love. So you take a element of feminine that is shadow, an element of masculine that is shadow. You shine source through it. Well, now you have a superhuman because you have the aspect of all the power of this darkness. Like this hallucination that most of us are under out here in the collective consciousness, that is dark energy streaming your light to keep it alive, because they're not streaming your empathy, they're streaming your energy. Okay, this is why like dark feminine is like a male seducer, okay, a man eater, a man hater, right? And you're going to see a dark feminine energy out there and it's going to attack you if you're lacking it yourself, because that is you showing you what you're separated from. And you guys know that when you get separated or in an argument, like you get defensive, don't you? So the part of you that you're actually separated from is either terrified of you or mad at you. Okay, so you might attract that out there. People are scared of you, right? And again, this isn't for me to say where you are separated. And I don't think that it's like exactly this way. I think that we are multidimensional. I think that we are 80% non-physical in our human forms. So what we have to get back to is that original factory setting point of, did I come here to be feminine or did I come here to be masculine? Because if you are trying to be both, you are going to need the entire world to keep you alive, because you can't stream directly, which means you're going to be battery operated. And that means you're going to be searching for containers outside of you to get a hit to feed your ego, or to feed attention, or feed money, or feed this. And you won't be able to sustain and stay grounded in your truth, in your purpose, in your identity, because it'll have to switch based on who you're around. So they're going to switch depending on like what's popular. Okay. Well, guess what? Now it's popular to be they. So now I'm going to be they because I don't have any rooted, grounded energy. And so the whole point of the creator creating the gender was for magnetism. It had nothing to do with male, female. It was how you are magnetic creators, because you are in density. You are working with polarity. Okay, you're working with the identification of gender. Plants are not deciding to be they, or they would not be growing. Now, they can hybrid and you can create a new strain, but it still has to be, it still has to be genetically modified from the creator that made them in order to stream source energy. So when food is made in a lab, it is not streamed through source consciousness, so it is not going to have any source for you to feed on. Okay, so when we're talking about main character energy, this is like where we're going to be going next year if you guys are going to join me, because it's basically how to get back to that 0 point energy. The quickest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So if I am the desiring me and I am the already desired me, and that is my focus, then the only thing I have to do is stay balanced with myself, consistent in my imagination, and affirm that I am, and that wish will be fulfilled. But if I am separated from myself, then you're going to constantly have to put yourself down and tend to everyone else in order to stay afloat. So your number one solution here is really saying for January, this is not a resolution. This is an intention of, who is this main character? Because, you know, I have two worlds to choose from here. I have hell on earth, okay? Or I have heaven on earth. Both are built. I get to choose. I can choose my own salvation and lean toward the Christ consciousness, okay? And I can play that game. Or I can keep playing out the Adam and Eve game, which is I'm guilty by association. So you have the choice, but you're not going to be able to, like, all these manifestations. Am I back? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, it froze. Just one or the other. Turn your Wi-Fi off on one of them. I know, but it's still streaming, so turn it off. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. We got too many people on Wi-Fi here. Get off. Okay, let me see. Sorry. Okay, perfect. She said that wrong. Okay, so that should be better. So again, think about that metaphor right there. It's like everybody is trying to stream from one source, right? Now you understand how frustrating collective consciousness is, because whoever has a good solid connection is going to be hot spotted off of. Okay, so like a business owner, if they're streaming their purpose, they're staying focused, kind of all the employees are going to lean on him. All right. So it's the same way for a household. Like we have 3 big floors in my house, and we've got people on every floor. So there's one router and it's right behind me. This should be the strongest connection, right? But if I'm like just having time and then someone else turns it on real quick, then the energy is going to go up there, or the energy is going to go down there, and I'm going to lose it for a minute, which happens all the time. Okay, and they don't allow you to have Wi-Fi like in 3 places of your house. I don't know why, that's ridiculous. But it's the same exact for a human being. So if I'm streaming and I'm like really strong, and then all of a sudden someone over here gets my attention and asks me for something, then I'm going to drop my streaming and I'm going to attend to them. Well, see, now I'm walking out of my body with a container of my energy, and eventually this is going to run out. And I'm going to have to return back. And then my partner might have a problem with that if they have attachment issues or rejection issues. Okay. Because I'm like, well, I got to refuel. Okay. Like I got to go back to meditation. And we, at this point in the game, you guys, we should be living in meditation. And I don't mean like, I mean like connected. Like this is first. I am that I am. Take it or leave it. Because very soon, even if you lost everyone in your world, because you're no longer a match to mismatched gender identification, you would literally, just after a few months of corroborating, okay, and re-engineering and affirming, you would literally begin to manifest people that were whole. So think about this right now. Like look around at someone that you know in your life that is whole, which means they don't need you. But every time you're around them, they're like a breath of fresh air. They're always confident no matter what's going on in their life. They always seem to have what they need. Okay. They're never complaining. And it's not coming from some mask. Do you know anyone in your physical reality that is that way, consistent all the time? You probably don't. You are probably the closest thing to you that you have in that world. Like you are the closest thing to that. So that should tell you right there that your main character is on the wrong floor of this game. And so the way you change that is you have to go back to the foundation of yourself, and you have to reclaim what that means to be a man or to be a woman, regardless of your sexual choices. It doesn't matter, because women can love women and men can love men, but they have to be all that way if they're going to be magnetized themselves. Now, if they go, well, I can't be fully a female because my partner doesn't like me when I'm in my feminine. Well, good. Then you guys can co-create and magnetize off of each other, but you won't go far. You won't. Because our society, the reason it is failing is because so many people are demagnetized. They all have to lean off of the source that is. And what we've been learning this year is deprogramming yourself, reprogramming yourself, rehypnotizing yourself, reaffirming yourself, recalibrating yourself. Okay, why do you think that you have to do that? Because the alchemists that run this planet, they are using the same formulas that your dark energy would use to get you out of this mess you're in. Okay? You are the alchemist too, but you have something that they don't have. You have source energy that you could stream for 24 hours a day. They have to find a container, a source, because they cannot stream themselves. They have lost their divinity, they have lost their humanity, but they have the occult power, which means they know how to hypnotize you. They know how to keep you separate. They know how to lead you over here through lust and the 7 deadly sins to keep you addicted to this search, to this hit, to this feeling. And you never really have to return home because it's so stimulating out there. Like, if you guys remember that movie Dirty Dancing, okay? or not Dirty Dancing. Gosh, what's the one with Kevin Bacon and the dancing? Somebody knows it. Somebody just popped in there. Where like they went to a town and they weren't allowed to dance, and Kevin Bacon was like, "Let's dance," and it was like, "Oh my God, it was a sin to dance." What is that darn movie? Somebody. Okay, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, do you know that like one of the things since social media has happened is that humans dance 50% less now? Footloose, yes. Humans dance 50% less now. Do you know that dancing is a way to connect to source energy? It is a way to let go of emotional pain. So when we don't dance anymore and I'm sitting with my posture like this, okay, I am not streaming source. I am tapping into someone who looks like they are all day. And that's the dopamine hit that my body feels okay, we're alive, we're connected, but I am not streaming like my own source. I don't feel peaceful alone in my own thoughts unless I am thinking about something peaceful. I can't just be in peace. So ultimately, if you're doing the work, then you're probably like seeing both worlds right now. Okay. And pretty soon, if you just make a hard decision, decide, pick a side, set an intention, lean into, and just decide not to look back, you will be not only like divinely cared for, but your life will get a lot bigger. You did not come here to be mediocre humans. You have genetics sitting in your body right now that are like, when is this person going to start using me? It's not junk DNA. It's supernatural. It's superhuman. But like I said in the boot camp, your body is only going to take the shape of the life you live. So if you live a very small life, your body will help you do that. If you live a very fearful life, your body will help you do that because your body is there to show up as the avatar of your mind. Okay, so if I'm scared and worried and lonely and I feel ugly, my body will demonstrate that for me. I won't even need to change anything. It'll just get ugly and it'll get scared and it'll get worried and my life will get really small. If I decide, you know what, I create my own reality, I have to get back to my nature, which means that I have to do some inner work with my dark feminine or my light feminine. I need to do some inner work with my connection to source in the masculine, or look at my wounded masculine energy here. Okay, that would be worth it. Because like one thing that I've noticed is as I started working again with my dark phoenix energy, it's Wu-Tang Wednesday, you know, I have to. Okay, so I'm working with this energy and I'm like, this was so easy. You know how sometimes the inner work feels like it's really difficult and hard? Returning back to like my true nature, it literally took like 48 hours to really embrace it. It was the strangest thing. I was like, oh, it was sitting there right in front of me. But again, if I have been shamed for my dark energy, which I have, okay, or it has not been accepted in loving relationships because it's too powerful, dealing with wounded men, then I will always kind of like dump the dark feminine first, lead with the light, lead with the helper, lead with the problem solver, lead with the fixer. And so I had to reject myself, or I did. And then what would happen is I would manifest someone who's also rejecting themselves every time. And then I'd be like, disappointed. So look at that word, disappointed, pointed in the wrong direction. Then what we do is reappoint ourselves. Reappoint. Anytime you're feeling disappointed, just reappoint yourself back to your nature. Okay, not source, because you're not going to feel like you deserve source. But if you can get back to your nature, then you will be like, oh yeah, source loves me. I didn't do anything wrong. If it didn't happen in the kingdom, it didn't happen. All is forgiven. You'll start literally speaking in these affirmations and you're like, where did this person come from? Because the other part of you was like, not in judgment. So what scares you about the world is the missing piece you need within, whether it's dark or light. I don't think too many dark feminine energies with masculine cores are following me because I'm not really like giving them anything that they want here. But I do think that a lot of wounded light and shield, whether it's masculine, feminine, that's who tends to follow me because that's what I was. So like attracts light. Okay, so again, this is why you guys not teaching because of something You might be the teacher that cracks the code for this certain other type of person. So not sharing your light because of insecurity, you better go find that part of you that's not insecure. That's the piece you need. It does not happen from changing the body. Trust me, it does not happen from the money. Trust me, you've tried all that. It doesn't happen. It only happens from recalibrating your source, which is your nature, right? Who you are. And again, we're even starting to see this in the animal kingdom majorly, where the gender representation is shifting because of the collective. Every major civilization has fell, which means, you guys, and this is actually a true logistic report, that in the next 10 years, women will be 70% infertile on this planet. Because it doesn't just affect your choices, it affects your biology. Okay, we've never seen this kind of infertility before, ever. Okay, we've never seen these type of cancers before. This is from separation of nature. This is not from genetic, grandma, sister. Yeah, it could be, you could be pulling from it epigenetically, but ultimately you're manifesting it because your body cannot contain enough light streaming to heal yourself from what is happening. Okay, so if I'm leading with my masculine shield, eventually my body is going to become masculine. It will. And therefore my pheromones will be masculine. So I'm going to attract feminine men or emasculated men. Okay. And my whole entire hormonal balance is going to go to shit because I'm leading as a man. So my body will eventually turn into one. That this is the most important thing. Plus, remember, ladies, I told you, when you're leading in your masculine shield and you're being intimate with someone, you don't have your alchemist there. You can't transmit the energy of that sexual gift into usable purpose and passion. You just take it all on. Because when you don't have your dark feminine energy to transmute and transcend that sexual energy, you're taking it on, which means what you're going to do is start mirroring your partner's issues or his anger or his laziness or whatever it is you've taken on. And guys, if you're giving to a woman who's in her masculine, she's going to start challenging you. She's going to start alphaing you. There's going to be competition for who is more driven, who's more emotionally needs to receive. And you see what I mean? So this is like, not only can we not manifest because we're demagnetized, but we can't really connect with each other. We can't think about, like, if you're not in a relationship right now, what was the major communication issue in your last relationship? Or what is it right now in your partner? Guaranteed it's this. Guaranteed. So let's talk a little bit main character energy here. Okay. So as the main character, you get to choose what earth you want to be on. Now, as soon as you make the choice, the entire universe is going to start lining up to help you with that, even if you don't see it. It takes a while to get all the way into the density of your subconscious mind. But if you make a decision and then go, okay, well, I'm not sure how to do this. So I thought I might even make a couple of classes to help you get your gender back to where it needs to be through, choosing affirmations, and also physical, looking around and re-looking at your desires. Because a lot of this stuff can be found in what you're desiring right now. If it's not coming from the heart desire where you're already complete, you're already in heaven and everything's already done, and it's coming from scarcity or something that's lacking, guaranteed that if you put yourself back together, you'd be like, oh, I don't need that because I'm an alchemist, so I could take this big pile of shiz and turn it into fertilizer. And I have spell casting. My word is my wand, right? I can use affirmations. I can get other people to do what I want, all from sleeping on my couch. That's how powerful divine feminine is in her nature. So when you are demagnetized, you have to work really hard in physical reality to get this much. When you are magnetized and you are in alignment with who you came to be, the world is literally at your command. And this is all the books that we've been reading with Neville and Florence and all these great authors that were here 100 years ago that planted these seeds for us that we're like unpacking now. Because you know what, 100 years ago, this wasn't an issue. This gender thing wasn't an issue when they were teaching this material. Now we're like, we need this more than ever. Your power is in two things, your imagination and how magnetic you are. That's it. Okay. Your imagination is your light. Okay. Your magnetism is your dark. You need both of those elements within you in order to create any reality, which means that if you want a different version of what the collective earth is going towards, good, build it. You were made in the image of creator, which means you have every power. But in order to exist on earth in a human body, you have to be in a dualistic nature, because then you are, the polarity is you. You see, like if you say, okay, you're half, go find your other half, but you can't make money unless you go find your other half. Like that would be fair. We just said, you are a whole of the half of the density, that which you will use to create from, and half of the light and imagination that you will stream from. And as long as you are inwardly focused, right, the kingdom of God is within, then you will be able to manifest your reality. This will also keep you guys keep hearing, oh, you got to have a high frequency, you got to have a high vibration. It has nothing to do with happiness. I have been extremely happy leading with a masculine shield, and I haven't been able to manifest the life that I could when I was leading from my true nature. Okay, so it's really not about joy, because you can get very joyful from spending money or to buy a new house, but you'll notice that it doesn't last. That is the difference between the power and the passion of the dark and the gentle whisper of the light. The light is consistent, it's ever flowing, it's eternal, it's always there. The dark, that feeling, that hit, that crack pipe of power, it is very short-lived, which means that you'll never feel fulfilled here. You won't ever be satisfied. Even if you're in the home of your dreams, even if you love your partner, something will be missing. And then because something is missing, you will continue to miss the mark, and you will build more shame and guilt because you're sitting. And you're sitting because you're trying to figure out how to make your life work. It's self-preservation. So I want to hear from you guys a little bit to see like what this is bringing up for you. I know we're already kind of working on it, but I wanted to name it. I like the fact that we've already been kind of working on this direction, but to kind of like name it and be like, this is what we want to fall back on when we start getting worried or scared or not trusting ourselves. Is what part of me is missing here? Do I need to embrace my darkness, or do I need to stream this light here? Okay. And again, do you know what part is separate? Because again, it's like the morphing of self-preservation happens, and now the identification of who is desiring out of you might not be you at all. This is why you like the character that is happening in your subconscious mind is what's manifesting your reality. That could be different from who you are as the awareness. So if the awareness of you is like, why do I keep manifesting this? Then who's creating your reality is the disconnected version of you. And if you haven't written a new script, okay, and re-engineered your past, and you haven't affirmed who you choose to be, and you are not hypnotizing yourself, and you are not deprogramming yourself, guys, you're still playing off that original script, which means you are whoever your family told you were allowed to be. That's it. Okay? So I want to hear from you guys. Do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? Anything that's streaming through that you want to share? Any work you've done on this that you want to share? Anything? Anyone? I know you guys are doing this work, so I'd love to hear from you. I'm looking at two people right now. I know we're doing the work. Anything? Let's see, I got a comment here. Footloose, yeah. Good movie. It's so silly. You're like, oh, it's a sin to dance. Can you imagine? Like, oh my gosh. But we don't. We just don't even like think about it. Like, if you ladies are in a relationship, do you want to go dance? in your house? You might want to dance it alone, but like, I know I would notice this. Like, I would always like do my belly dancing, and I would always like make my fashion. I love to make clothes. And the second I get in a relationship, it's like I just don't have any interest to do those things. Why? Why? Is because I'm like, oh, like it's a subconscious, like this part of me isn't going to be helpful for him at all, or give him anything that's going to help him stay. So let me turn those parts of me, like it's such an automatic thing that was inside of me that I didn't even know I was doing it. So just notice like how motivated you are to do things when you're alone versus like with someone else. And that's why sisterhood, which is part of your dark feminine energy, if you don't have access to your dark feminine energy, you will not get along with women. You will feel very hurt by women. There will be competitive nature there. You'll have a lot of like PTSD with women. But in your dark feminine, because she is 100% confident in herself, then sisterhood is actually what makes her more powerful. Okay? So once you get back into your dark feminine energy, you have to understand that your dark feminine energy isn't going to be like go out and be a whore somewhere and like, you know, start like people always associate dark feminine energy with sex for some reason. And it's only because of the stereotype that the culture has presented. But dark feminine energy, it is very seducing. But if you look at seducing, it's more about evoking, it's more about spell casting. And now, if I'm doing that through my light, if I'm doing all of the stuff the occult is doing, but I'm streaming source energy through me, do you think that I'm going to be negatively hurting myself or you? Not at all. I'm going to be using the love of source energy through the magic of my dark feminine. That is going to create the strongest healer that exists, the best manifester. If a man is taking a desire to be more, to build more, to create more, and streams that with source energy, unstoppable. Okay? If my dark feminine desires to be loved and admired and taken care of, and I don't have source going through me, well, you can see what choices I would make. So you might want to look at who you are dark, who you are light, and then put them together, because you won't judge that. You won't judge that togetherness of you. But by itself, it's easy to judge. I mean, my sweetest clients over the years, the ones that are just pure light, they're just angelic. I'm like, how are you here safe? Like, the world is just eating you alive. Okay. Then I've had my clients that were just pure dark. And I'm like, oh, you know, and but again, it's just like all of a sudden you just put it together and it's just like power, potential, like freedom, abundance. So every person that you see out in the world that feels comfortable in their skin, they're streaming power, they're streaming consciousness, it looks effortless. They are literally unique in their own way. The only difference is that they are working in unity with all of themselves. They are not separated in their nature. They are embracing it. They're embracing it. And that's all that Source is asking you to do now. This is all that the collective, that the new earth is creating unity consciousness within. Now they can create unity consciousness without. Separated consciousness is going to continue to create separation of consciousness until it gets so distorted that it literally implodes and dies because there's no more fertile women on the planet. So that's where this collective is going. And this is why like their music business is so focused on dark feminine power right now. Because again, there is like a seductive quality of that, where it's like, oh, okay, everybody wants their feminine power back. Oh, the feminists are here. Okay, let's play on that. Let's make it all dark. And let's hate all the men, or let's be seducers. You know, I mean, every time the collective levels up awareness and consciousness, the music industry turns down the frequency of mainstream music to get lower and lower. Because what mainstream music is what we all follow and are hypnotized by. So it can't be the frequency of love. It has to be lower. So now it's in the 400s. And so mainstream music is getting deeper and darker in its consciousness because it's going to take you with it, because music is the soundtrack of reality. So what you hear, you're going to be leaning towards. So if you are whole, you'll be able to create your own soundtrack, your own frequency. And you won't at all be pulled by that music. I don't know about you guys, but I have a hard time listening to new music. Like I'm pulled by older music, like the music of our like younger years, and it's not because I'm stuck in those years at all. It's because the sound doesn't resonate with me anymore. And so anyways, does anybody have anything they want to add to that before we wrap for today? We're going to be doing some more alchemy work in our fellowship today, because Danny and Jamie asked me to. So we're going to be playing with more ways to connect later today at 1 o'clock. But does anybody have anything they want to add or share? Anyone? Okay. Was this helpful? Okay, you'll also start looking around your reality at other people and really just immediately see the distortion. Have love for them. We don't know what we don't know until, again, when you come back to your wholeness, you'll begin to see them very different. And you can affirm for others way more in a powerful state for people. Because again, it's like once you get that source energy streaming through you, whatever dark parts of you, it's not dark. It's just density. It's magnetism. It's magic. Okay, when dark and light come together, it is pure magic. And so, again, there's a lot of self-judgment that happens, or we wouldn't be separated. So think back on what you judge in others, especially your gender that you are leaning towards, and what you have felt judged for, or what you feel you are lacking. Those are the 3 points that I would look at in the reclaiming of your gender. Okay? All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. We are off next week for Christmas and New Year's. So moving into the next year in January, we've got like 1 more month of non-duality. We're going to be kind of like setting the tone for our next year. And we're going to be working all in basically the non-duality perspective of learning how to use your darkness for light. Okay? Because again, you are on planet Earth. You've got to fight fire with fire. You've got to use what the occult is using. You've got to do the exact same thing that they're doing if you want to beat them at their own game. Because yes, love wins, but you can't jump out of the body and have love win. You've got to be embodied love, which means that alchemist here has to be streaming love to win. All right? Okay, guys, love you. And I will see some of you in a few hours. And other of you, I'll see you after the new year. Have a great holiday, guys. Bye.